I should be like you, Mel.
Ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, welcome back to Cherry AM. And I haven't been on here for a while. And next to me today, I've got Mr. Malcolm Chiverton. How you doing, Malcolm?
Morning, Craig. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, all good, thanks. Yeah, got a quick weather report. 2 degrees, going up to about 5. Slightly cloudy, so it should be okay today.
You beat me to it there. I was going to say, we better start off with the weather report, but, you know, you kind of just delve straight in there. Good stuff, good stuff. Weather report here down in Poole and Dorset. It is wet, it is windy. Not sure how many degrees it is, but it's bloody cold. So, yes, that if you're an Everton fan and you're watching this, that's what you're probably contending with tomorrow night. Probably be a bit colder as well. So there we are. Apologies. But I tell you what, let's park Everton for the moment. You know, of course, we have got the Dean Court Social that did go out late last night. But let's talk about the Sunderland game. I did do a raw reaction video. And Malcolm, I know you was watching it as well. Let's discuss firstly, you know, with the side we put out. What did you make of that?
See, the starting lineup wasn't bad at all, to be honest with you. I don't think we were far off the mark with what we predicted last week.
No.
But we got the depth in the squad. So anticipating changes, which Andoni will do, especially in the back four. You know, obviously the right back, and obviously there's a lot of talk whether Milos will play or Diakite. Obviously we'll come on to that subject shortly.
Yeah.
But no, it was all right. A little bit surprised that Lee started, but he impressed me. He really did impress me. I thought, good lad. I mean, I'm going to take the game as a whole, not. I'm not going to slate individuals like a lot of people did on social media over the weekend, which I thought was a little bit unfair.
Agree, 100%.
That it isn't a collective; it's a team sport, and everybody must be accountable. Yes, I was disappointed, not only with the result, but I think the biggest disappointment for me was the lack of discipline in that second half from certain individuals. Haven't seen that from Bournemouth. Haven't seen it under Andoni. Now, whether that comes from the passion and everything and the emotions from Andoni and his training staff, because obviously, you know, cards were thrown in their direction as well. And that affected some of the players, I'm not sure. But certainly some things happened that shouldn't have happened during that second half. But take the game as it came. For 30 minutes, we were absolutely excellent. And
Yeah.
that's all we needed to do was actually keep playing the way we were. And I thought it was up until, Scotty went in where he shouldn't have done. I wouldn't say that had a momentous effect on our team, but it certainly affected Scotty. And after that, he lost it. That's just my opinion. I'm not slating, like I say, I'm not slating individuals. I'm just trying to assess, what went wrong, how it went wrong. And I think it was quite a good move actually from Andoni that he took Alex Scott off at halftime.
I think he was a red card waiting to happen, and I think
he was certainly borderline. Yeah, I'd go along with that. I know he can be aggressive. He is a good player, and I'm not knocking him whatsoever. But it's just one of those instances where you got to learn from. And I think that's something that would have been discussed over the weekend, even today. And I'd be very, very surprised if we see something like that happen again.
100%.
He's still learning, still growing up. He's very ambitious. So don't take it away from him. There's a lot of positives about the player. So it was just something he's got to learn from. And I think that just sort of escalated through into the second half. Obviously, and I'm not knocking the ref either, but there were certain instances there where perhaps he could have been a little bit more sensible, if you like. Because very, very difficult to ref a game under those conditions where players are literally flying in left, right, and centre.
I thought he lost control.
Difficult.
I thought the referee lost control of the match.
Yeah, the longer it went on, you could see it was getting worse, unfortunately. But from a footballing perspective, really, really chuffed that Adley got his first goal.
Yes.
And wow, what can you say about Tyler Adams?
Wow, Beckham-esque, weren't it?
Superb. It was a joy to what I was jumping. Obviously, I had you guys on the watch along, and I was like, I don't know, 30 or 45 seconds ahead of you.
Yeah.
I was itching to put something on the comment. I thought, no, wait until they've seen it before. But no, excellent, absolutely excellent. And we were cruising. We were knocking the ball around, playing the football that we like to see. And I just couldn't see it changing. I don't know why. This is where we want to be now. Yeah, and then boom, everything went a bit pear-shaped, didn't it? So, but credit also to Sunderland because they never gave up. They kept chipping away. I mean, they got some really, really decent players, and we said this last week. They're up in the top half of the league for a reason. Obviously, we all backed them to stay in the Premier League anyway. They've exceeded expectations. Really, really good. I mean, the crowd were very quiet, weren't they? And it was only once they got back into it, that they had the crowd behind them. And obviously, it got a little bit boisterous. I mean, it might be a fair point now, actually, Craig, to go into the chat and go through some of the comments.
I was just going to do that, actually. So let's go through these. And Paul Sant is with us. Good morning, Paul. He says good morning to everyone. Chris Hubble said morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well, Chris. David DaCosta, morning, everyone. Back from a week's holiday with Paul in Sydney. 14 degrees and wet.
Hi, David.
That's never rainy in Australia, is it? Paul Sant said Saturday's game made me realise our defence is not good enough. Diakite and Petro are at fault. We definitely need a leader to organise our defence. Let's hold that thought. We'll bring that back up in a second. Good morning from a rain-swept Westbourne. Good morning, Nick. Hope you're doing well. Also, I think Semenyo knows he's leaving in January. No, we're not going there. It's a pity Cahill isn't around anymore. We need someone like him. I think, very, very true. It's somebody, I think Cahill was an excellent defender for us. The only problem is it was after that Millwall game that season where it kind of fell off, the edge of a cliff, and mainly because of his age and mainly because of his fitness. So yeah, I think in his prime, Gary Cahill, fantastic
Excellent
player,
player. Excellent, yeah.
and he was a big part of the start of that season, and also making sure we got that little bit of momentum at that beginning of that season. Chris Hubble said, "Need to get back to winning ways now against Everton at home." Yeah,
Yeah.
completely agree. David DeCosta said the ref was influenced by the crowd. I'm not too sure.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I'm not too sure about that. Like you say, I noticed it was very, very quiet, but it did start to get a little bit more rowdy in the second half. Liam Humby, morning everyone, morning Liam.
Hi, Liam.
And Paul from Arles said that ref was conned by the crowd continually. So yeah, good to see you, Paul. But yes,
Hope you're doing well, mate.
I personally do. I do agree that. My honest opinion is the referee lost complete control of the game. I think he started. It was a surprise. Only one player got sent off actually in that game. In all honesty, with the way he was reacting to things and the way that the game was flowing, I was surprised who it was. But just coming back to Alex Scott and what you said a moment ago, Malcolm. With Alex, he's such a player. He puts his heart and soul into every single performance. And in all honesty, it was because I think personally, the zip on that pitch, the water on that pitch, it was always making it very difficult for a player like him to actually time the tackles perfectly. And like you say, Andoni had to make that substitution because he was going to get sent off
Yeah.
regardless. All it would have taken was Alex Scott to go in for a tackle, full-blooded tackle, which he does. Because of the pitch and because of the weather conditions, it slips a bit more, and then bosh. I personally, watching that tackle back, I think he actually slipped, for the yellow card.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's very, very difficult under those sort of conditions. Yes, they're professionals, but they still have to get the timing right.
Hmm.
And if there's any shadow of doubt, just don't do it. Just don't do it. You've got to be committed 100% going into a tackle to get that ball. And it's only a millisecond and then you're out of it. So I just happen to think that, perhaps the penalty was a little bit harsh. Some refs would give it, others would not. Obviously, VAR will always have an influence, but I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. I mean, he did catch the player. Was it enough? I don't know.
I think the penalty was so poor, so poor.
But
At the end of the day, he didn't
another
do
ref
anything.
could also give it, Craig. You have to look at it in real time. I mean, VAR will always slow things down, and it always looks worse.
It depends what
So
angle they're looking at it from. But
yeah,
Alex Scott, I don't think knew too much of it. He was trying to, the player was of course trying to get away. He was trying to, get a move so he can actually, get something on target. And Alex Scott was, of course, not goal side of that player. And when that player kind of span him, I think there was like a clash of legs, if I'm right in thinking. And of course, the player's gone down, and
a,
the
cle- a
rules.
clever a clever attacker, Craig. When they notice or see something coming, they will always put some part of their body in the way for their advantage. That's what attackers do. Callum Wilson was a perfect example. He could always do that.
The thing is, though, Malcolm, that referee wasn't sure. of that penalty in the first place. Because if he was sure of that penalty in the first place, Alex Scott should have been sent off the pitch, but he wasn't. I'm not saying I wanted Alex Scott to get sent
It wasn't
off,
a red card. It
but
wasn't a red card tackle, Craig. That's rubbish.
no. But the thing is it's a goal scoring opportunity in the penalty
It
box.
wasn't. It wasn't. That was the thing.
Mm.
It wasn't clear and obvious, and there were defenders behind the ball. So
Yeah.
if the ref was going to give anything, obviously the penalty, the maximum he could give would be a yellow. But
Well, of course, Scott was already on a yellow. That's the thing. He was already on a yellow. So, in all honesty, if if the referee was 100% sure, my honest opinion is that Scott should have gone. I'm pleased he didn't, but at the same time, I don't think the referee was that confident with that decision anyway. And in that case, I think that it was not a penalty. I don't think it was a penalty at all. I think, like you say, the attacker was very, very clever, leaving part of his body behind. But
well, that's what players do. Unfortunately, this weekend I've seen an awful lot of football once again. And I get a little bit frustrated, to be honest with you, because there are so many class players in the Premier League, and it doesn't matter what nationality they are or who they play for. But when you see guys going down for nothing, just conning the referee, basically they're conning everybody. It's not the game it was. It
no,
certainly isn't. But okay, we'll move on from that. It'll always be a contentious point, won't it?
yeah. See, Paul brings up a very good point as well. There was a player down in the box.
Wasn't it Trafford was down in
Yes,
the box?
that's why
Yeah.
Bournemouth's emotions took over. They felt they
I
were
mean,
not
you've
going
got
to
a fair
forgive.
point there, Paul. Totally agree with you. And in fact, the commentators actually mentioned it
Mm.
on TV. That they were surprised they didn't take it a step further back.
Well, exactly. Why did VAR not look at, why Trafford was down on the
Um,
ground?
You tell me, what are VAR there for, Craig? We've had this discussion numerous times, so
Honestly, it's
I'm not
not.
going to go down that road. But I just find it a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Um, it was there. It was like a get out of jail free card for them to get that penalty. Brilliant spot kick, can't deny that.
Oh yeah.
Buried it. And that just brought them back into a game that they weren't really in.
2
So
nil.
obviously, things would have to change in the second half, and
Mm,
rightly so. And only did the right thing. He brought Cookie on
yeah.
for Scott, which is certainly a perfect thing. Good to see Semenyo back. Didn't look
Yes.
100% to me, but at least he's got more minutes again. And
Mm,
unfortunately, we're at that time of year where games come thick and fast. So 3 games in 8 days is going to be a tough call. But it's the knock-on effect from this game, isn't it? It's having David Brooks out, Senesi out, and
mhm.
obviously Cookie's going to be missing for 3 games. So that is the thing that disappointed me, was the discipline. It really did disappoint me.
You know, we've already spoken, of course, about the wonder strike by Tyler Adams, and of course, we could talk about how Petrovic was beaten at his near post, which was a little bit disappointing. But to be honest, I'm not going to put the parts to blame. And of course, I think their
That,
first
that
goal.
actually went through Trafier's legs, and I mean he
Mhm.
was slightly unsighted anyway, wasn't he, Petrovic?
Yes.
At that point. So I'm not going to shoulder blame on him at all. No reason to.
No. No, I agree. I think the third goal was very, very good actually by Sunderland. A very good move.
But we should be, better defensively, set pieces.
Mm. You could say for that second goal, that Sunderland's equaliser, you could say that nobody did pick up the player. The player had free rein, went round, but just behind. Nobody really picked him up, and that was in itself was a little bit gutting. you could point the finger at Senesi, you could point the finger at Diakite. Where were they? Where were they in that position? Where were they? But at the end of the day, they have been so reliable, and I'm not into all like you say the blame game. But let's talk about this discipline because Senesi's yellow card. Honestly, I can take that one because at the end of the day, there was nothing stupid really in that. It was, a challenge. He caught the player wrong. Hey, in those sort of conditions, it's going to happen. But let's talk about David Brooks's yellow card. I'm just going to bring up Nick's comment here as well. Agree, Paul. We're struggling there with all our injuries and suspensions, and Donny has a smaller squad to deal with. Perhaps it will focus us like it did last season. See, we say about
Yeah,
strength and depth, but we might have a problem now.
I've absolutely had the same train of thought, Nick. Very good point. Very good point indeed. Like I said, it's something to learn from, and that's the only way to do it. The fortunate thing is that Brooks and Senesi is only one game banned, so they're only going to miss out on the Everton game.
Brooks was completely avoidable, though. That was
yeah.
ridiculous.
Sorry, but he lost it. For me, Brooks, he lost it. Very petulant. I don't know. I really don't know. And if you're gonna make challenges or show your emotions like that on the pitch, of course they're gonna goad you all the time. Because they'll be saying, right, his mindset isn't right. He's a place where we can actually try and make something. It's what players do. It's not just about what they can do with or without the ball. It's looking at their body language, and his body language is out of it, basically.
Do you think, and Matt actually made a very good point on Saturday. Do you think, and do you agree with him that, that it's kind of stemmed all the way from Wales's World Cup games, sorry, the qualifiers, I should say. Do you think it's kind of stemmed from that? And, he's been getting a little bit more frustrated over the recent weeks.
What it's down to, because I mean, to be honest with you, he's been one of the much improved players this season.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So why suddenly this maybe change in attitude? I don't know, on the pitch. I'm not sure. But that is something, that is something that the coaching staff have to look into.
He's a lovely guy, so it doesn't need to do this.
So am I, but I wouldn't be petulant like that on the
pitch. To be honest, I think I probably could be. Actually, I'd be moaning and whinging consistently at the referee. Yeah, that's just me though. But yeah, it was completely unnecessary. It was a really silly move to make, especially when you are on those 4 yellow cards and the topping up. And then let's come to the Lewis Cook sending off. Initially, I was like, this isn't a sending off.
My initial thought was the same. He didn't actually swing his elbow out, did he?
Yeah, he's not. There's no motion. See, the thing is, and this is where I might be a little bit biased, and you need to take this away from me. I've met Lewis Cook on a number of occasions, and again, likewise, like David Brooks, he's an absolutely down-to-earth guy who will do anything for anybody. But are we being a little bit too soft on Lewis and going, right, okay, we know what he's really like in real life. Are we? Do you think really, if you was a neutral, that is a sending off?
It's also, I mean, I tend to watch games as a neutral, even if it's Bournemouth, because there are 2 teams playing. So my initial thought was that the guy ran into him, and it was just unfortunate the way he was positioned. I think if the referee could take that back, rewind it, watch it again in real time, not in slow time like VAR, maybe another time you would say, look, come on, yeah, you can have a yellow for that. But there was no intention there. That's what I couldn't understand.
I don't think there was any intention.
And that's, it's a grey area, Craig, I'm afraid, in football. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Chelsea Arsenal game last night. Casado, he got sent off. But once again, top ref, he gave a yellow, and it was VAR that intervened.
This is the problem. Is
And
referees.
obviously, looking back and seeing what happened, then yes, obviously it was a red.
Referees are scared to make decisions. This is
not all of them. Like I said yesterday, Anthony Taylor, he got the yellow out, and I'm sure he'd have been happy to stay with that decision.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I rather football when you had the likes of Mark Housey, Paul Durkin, Uriah Rennie, referees like that, who would actually referee the game in the right way. Graham Poll, Jeff Windsor, you name them, they were
The
referees.
game's moved on, I'm afraid, Craig. You can't sit in the past.
It's not moved on for the
Unfortunately.
better though, and it could have always stayed that way if we weren't so adamant about everything being completely right. Let's be fair, the stoppages aren't fun for anybody. It's probably going to be freezing cold on Tuesday. If we have another stoppage, it's probably freezing cold in Sunderland. You could tell it was. That rain was probably quite icy. And to be fair, I just find it frustrating. The game doesn't flow as well. And the referee completely lost all control of the game and just started handing out yellow cards for fun. I thought his performance was absolutely shocking. But I don't think there was any malicious intent, from Lewis Cook. But I can understand why some people say, well, it was a red card offence because of the position, his arm was in. Was he scratching his head or something? Was there any allowance for that sort of thing? I don't know.
It's always good. I mean, hindsight's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you get the opportunity to watch it back again, I mean, I haven't. Unfortunately, I've totally
I've
forgot
watched it
to.
several times, and to be honest, I can't see it. Although the more people mention about the rules of the game, I'm starting to think, well, was there kind of not malicious, but like a lack of judgment there? A lack of when you're in that zone, you're thinking, oh, better not do that. So Lewis
I mean,
Cook,
if
you know
you,
he's not malicious.
I'm looking at the bigger picture now.
Mm,
I know people are saying, "Oh, crikey, another loss, another defeat, blah blah blah," and they think back to when Andoni first came in. Took him 9 games before he got his first win.
yeah.
Yeah, he threw in a couple of draws there, which was okay. And with the changes we've had this season, the start of this season, it's not going to be straightforward. Yes, we got some points on the board, which is brilliant.
Mm,
I had some good displays of football as well, and blips will happen.
yeah.
And mentioned this early on in the season, that sooner or later injuries will come in simply because players go away, internationals and goodness knows what else. And then suspensions will creep up eventually because we do have players that do like to put their foot in a little bit. So, and things will change. I mean, it's not going to be as bad as it was like last season where you're going to have just boys on the bench. We got players now. We got a deep enough squad to cover the coming up suspension. So it's going to be interesting. I haven't done a lineup or anything for tomorrow's game because
It's
I
hard.
just couldn't get my head around it, to be honest with you. But obviously for me, it's going to be Diakite and Milos at the back in as central defenders.
Yeah.
You've obviously got to forget Cookie now for 3 weeks. I believe we'll stick with Tyler Adams and Alex Scott in midfield.
Hmm.
Humanity's fit. You can have Semenyo. I think Semenyo, Tav, and Cliver will be behind the striker, and I think this time they're going to put Krupi up front.
That would be interesting. We have put it on our Dean Court social, so straight after this show, do go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get up at silly o'clock to watch things like that, Craig. I'm afraid.
No, that's all right.
I'll have a
fair
look
enough.
later on. Yeah.
I don't know what time it went live. Actually, I had an early night myself. To be fair,
I know. I saw it on there. It's on the notifications. Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Yeah, learn from it.
100%.
I don't think any other fan has actually seen us lose it in our heads like that under Andoni. I don't know what your views are. 6 points from second or 8 points from it doesn't matter what position.
Yeah.
I've got somebody at my door.
Oh,
Please
have you?
excuse me.
Oh, fair enough. I tell you what, I'll go solo for a moment then. I'll go solo. To be honest, Sean, I think, with regards to going near the relegation zone, I don't think we're going to get relegated. I said this to the Everton channel as well, Toffee Bluecast yesterday. I don't think they will do either. So, in all honesty, yeah, we just got to take it as it comes. Would you agree with that, Malcolm? No, that's all right.
I think I've got a visitor coming.
I don't think we're going to be anywhere near the relegation zone, so we don't need to worry about that. But at the same time, we've just got to take each game as it comes at the moment. I know I got a bit excited earlier on in the season, but hey, that's just
about it. What else were we talking about here? Sorry. Yeah, league positions don't mean anything at the moment.
No.
Just take each game as we come along. Wednesday Everton game. So we're different style. Yeah, obviously. I'm sure they will. Somebody might be behind me in a second. Peter, can you look at that? Okay. So that's sorted. Meals on Wheels has just arrived.
Fair enough. So with the suspensions for the Everton game, this will be a different starting lineup for Bournemouth, and people will take their chance if they can. There we are.
I think it's going to be an interesting lineup for Everton. I really want to see Adley, Krupi up front. I would like to see Enos come on. We'll just see how the game goes. I mean, I watched Everton against Newcastle, and boy, oh boy,
they're in a similar boat to us, though, as well.
I mean, I haven't seen Everton play that badly for a long time, to be honest with you.
Well, hopefully they can continue it.
And they've got a decent side. That's a stupid thing.
I know. All it takes is, the weather conditions. You can't put it down to that. All it takes is, a couple of knocks, some players, or some players not feeling up for it, and it can all fall apart. And to be honest, I think we were all up for it against Sunderland. I don't think any player let themselves down in that way. The fitness was there. I think some of the decision making at the end was probably a bit choice. Let's say that. Sean said, can't remember the last time I saw so many Bournemouth players lose the plot and managers.
Well, I can't. Certainly under Andoni, I've never seen that before, and that's why I was so disappointed, because generally they're very, very well disciplined on the pitch.
He was vocal. Andoni was vocal.
Oh yeah.
I saw him sit down and then get up 2 seconds later.
It was really interesting, his post-match interview. I don't know if anybody saw it, but
I didn't know. I didn't. I was a bit.
Well, it's out on YouTube somewhere, so worth having a listen to. It's not very long, but he's honest, and even when things aren't going right, something he does wrong, he's honest, and that's what I like about the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from things, and he will. I'm sure he will put it right. Shauna said Cook was easy red. Yeah, it was soft, but like people say, if you stick your foot elbow out and give the ref a decision, you have to take the consequence. I think, maybe sometime when you look at it, maybe hindsight is a wonderful thing, put
It is.
nicely.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Lewis Cook, if he watches that back, probably thought, "Ah, didn't have to be in that angle, didn't have to be in that position." But it is,
I'll also stick up for refs, because it's a bloody hard job. It really is a hard job.
but then again, if you're refereeing at this level, you
Yeah.
should be at the top of your game. I've
Yeah.
refereed local
Fully,
park
fully.
teams before.
But that
I've
just shows you, Craig, that just shows you not only players can have bad days, refs can as well.
yeah.
So, okay. Hey ho. Move on.
I've refereed local park teams before, and to be honest,
But
it is tough because even though you can see it's stone cold clear, the players of that side that you give it against are always going to moan. They're always going to complain, and of course, I don't have VAR to rely back on. But actually, I feel that's an advantage. Injuries, etc., happen to every team. Yep,
zero.
very
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
I posted that the ref had a good game, which I thought, and I've had far more likes on it than negative. And you can't say it's the Sunderland supporters as they were booing the ref. Um, I don't think the referee had a good game at all, Sean. I think we have to agree to disagree there, mate. I thought he lost complete
It's
control of it.
opinionated. Simple as that.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
opinionated.
Paul Santa said, I've got a really bad feeling for tomorrow. I really hope I'm wrong.
Just
Honestly,
got one thing to say, Paul. Get a glass that's half full, mate. All right.
I'm hopeful. Everton are in the same boat as we are. When I went on their show, and it's worth watching. Toffee Bluecast is the show. They do not have that much confidence in this game either. They have issues. They have problems. They don't have the strength in depth. When you look at their bench, in all honesty, our bench is stronger. Provided we didn't have the bloody suspensions. But in all honesty, I've got a feeling that man to man, our starting 11 is better. And there's only really one or two players that I would turn around and say I'd like in my side tomorrow night from their team. One of those being the obvious, Jack Grealish. Always loved him as a player. Honestly, one of the nicest footballers you could ever meet. I think, I've never met him, but you can tell what he's like. I think he would be a player that would really, really, really excel under Andoni Iraola. And I tell you what, if Man City want to cash in at the end of this season, I would go full all out for Jack Grealish. I think we can afford him, and it would be a marquee signing as well. The other
Is he
player,
on your
and this
Christmas
is
list?
he would be, yeah, he would be. I tell you what, if Bill Foley's watching, Jack Grealish, I would love Jack Grealish here. Um, and the other player is a player that's always played very, very well against us. And to be fair, in that 3-2 win up at Goodison Park, which we remember very, very well, Sean Dyche made a cardinal sin, as well as Andoni's substitutions being excellent and well timed. Sean Dyche did a kamikaze moment, and he took off Ilman and Jai. It was a little bit like taking off Callum Wilson. I
Exactly.
think
Yeah,
he was the
yeah.
heartbeat, and in all honesty, I think he would slot very well into our side. The rest of them, no, I'm not too bothered. I really could not care less, and that includes Jordan Pickford as well. I think Jordi Petrovic is, on that sort of level to Pickford. I know Pickford is England's number one. He's always, his praises are always sang about, but he's English. Everybody wants him to do really well, and, everybody will pay more attention to him. But
Depends what defenders you got in front of you, Craig, doesn't it?
yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
And yeah, but Everton did make the Everton podcast did make a very good point. We do concede a lot of goals, and that's another big concern. And we'll come on to that very, very briefly as well. Need a big win for tomorrow night. and it will be interesting without Senesi. Wonder if Hill will get any chance.
I think he'll be on the bench. Actually, I think they'll put Hill on the bench.
I agree. But
Basically, not solely for a central defensive position, but he can slot in anywhere.
yeah.
So that'll give Andoni options if he's put him on the bench to start with.
Let's just talk about this defence actually, because
Morning, Doug. Doug's here.
oh,
Thanks.
good morning, Doug. How you doing?
Thanks for
Hope you're
joining
doing
us,
well,
mate.
mate. Good to see you.
Congratulations on the 3 points yesterday at West Ham, and Mr. Isak getting his first league goal. Wow.
Yes. I was worried he wasn't going to spark up for Liverpool, but he's, hopefully that gives him a little bit of confidence for you guys, Doug, because there was I was a bit concerned, but for you guys. But I tell you what, let's just look at this table, and just look at the goals against column. A couple of weeks back, you could say, and this is where I'm going with this. Is this really reflective? Apart from the bottom four, so West Ham, Leeds, Burnley, and Wolves, we've conceded the most goals. Is it really reflective?
I'm a little bit sort of disappointed that the defensive frailties have crept in over the
Yeah,
previous weeks. Man City 3-1, that was all right. You take that,
you understand that one,
I
wouldn't you?
think. But the performance against Villa was,
Oh,
that
atrocious.
was a
One of the
lesson.
worst.
That really was a lesson. Things changed. West Ham, two attempts out of nothing, basically. Really good goals from Wilson.
Yeah.
Could we have done a bit better? I mean, certainly for the second one, he was so tightly marked. I'd say that was a brilliant striker's goal. I think with his first goal, we could have closed him down quicker. But then Saturday, wow, to concede 3 again, it hurts. But have we got a settled back four? No, we haven't.
Is this suspension for Senesi maybe what we need? Because does this give us now the impetus that we've got to change it up? We've got to see Diakite and of course Milisakovic next to each other, see what they can do next to each other. If say for
Okay,
example,
he's forced into it a bit, isn't he, this week? So
he is, but at the same
but
time,
perhaps that's a blessing.
it could be. That's where I'm going really with this, because
Yeah.
you look at the form, you look at how many goals we've conceded in the last 4 games, and before that, it was not bad at all. You're already counting up there. I'm just trying to do it in my head. That's 12 goals, and you've gone from having a pretty decent goals against tally, one that is on par with Villa and Chelsea, and even less than Manchester City if we hadn't conceded in that time. I know this talking in sense, but to something that looks quite atrocious, and maybe we just need to actually find what the best centre back pairing is. If it doesn't work, or if Milisakovic really shines against Everton, but we still do concede, is it a case that we have to go with Senesi and Milisakovic? Because that would be, if all 3 players were, available for this game, that is probably the route I would have gone down for Everton.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's, like I said, Andoni's hand has been a little bit forced for tomorrow's game. Wait and see. That's all we can do. It's not just like being the back four or centre backs. It's how the ball actually comes in. Can we cut it out? Can we defend better width-wise? Out on the flanks. there is so much to a game of football, but I just think you need to be, just have one of them who's going to be the voice, if you like,
Yeah.
And then everybody pull together.
Just going to go
obviously,
through.
normally when Senesi's on, he's the guy, who does the talking and shaping of the back four. But hey ho. Hey ho. Do you want to run through some more of the chat before
Before we round up. Of course, Rodney Trotter, he who dares El Del. I absolutely love the hand of that one. Even a point against Everton could be a poor result considering the up and coming fixtures, and unless we score 3 or 4, which probably isn't happening, be lucky to get a point. I don't think Everton are prolific themselves really up front. I think they are. I think it could well be that they score. However, I'm sure Andoni is going to be looking at this today and also probably yesterday as well, looking and being meticulous and watching it several times over about how to stop Everton scoring and getting that opportunity. I'm actually I'm a bit positive for this game. I've got a little bit of whether or not that's the heart talking or whether or not that's the head talking. I'm actually being a little bit positive for this. Doug said, much about time, much needed. Hard to be positive at the moment," says Lord Rodney Trotter. And I must say, I am looking forward to Friday for the World Cup draw. Still pinching myself that Scotland are in the World Cup draw. Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. Good luck, Doug. Good
Yes,
luck.
definitely. A lot of goals we have conceded are defensive frailties. Yep,
Agreed.
completely agree.
Agreed. Yeah.
Shauna said stats are stats, and the more info you have usually means the more truth there is in them. Not always, but in this case, I think it shows we don't have a brilliant defense. I don't think it's a bad. I don't think it's a bad defense. I think we just need to, Andoni just needs to get it a little bit under control. Paul
Just
Santon
going to
said,
say we've been worse. That's all I'll say.
"Oh, 100%, 100%."
Yeah. So okay.
I hate to pull out one player, but I just do not think Diakite is up to the job at the moment. I think we need another centre back in January.
I don't think we do actually, Paul. I
No.
disagree with you. I think Craig hit on it. Putting Milos in there. Obviously, tomorrow's going to be different because they can both be in. But when Senesi comes back alongside Milos, why not?
It
That's
could well
fine.
be.
And you can't rule out Hill either, can you?
No, exactly.
So I think that's all right. Yeah, what a player, man!
He
What a
was
player.
brilliant. He really,
Yeah,
really was brilliant. So,
yeah.
yeah, Granit Xhaka, quality
Yeah.
player, and a quick turnaround with games might be useful to move on. Yes,
Just
definitely.
just stay positive. The one thing I'm hoping tomorrow,
Mm,
all right, when I sit in front of my box and watch it, is that I hear the crowd.
yeah,
Get behind them. That's what they need.
100%, 100%.
They have a brilliant following away from home, no matter what. You hear them loud and clear, but they tend to be a little bit quieter at Dean Court. Not always. I mean, obviously, when I saw the Forest game there, it was great, brilliant atmosphere, loved it, and
Definitely.
that's what I want to hear every week, really.
Yeah, 100%,
But
100%.
get behind the team. That's what it's all about.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get 3 points against the Toffees at Dean Court this Tuesday. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button. Had quite a lot of watches today, and also on Instagram, it has been moving. I've had 42 watchers at one point on Instagram, which is quite nice. So there we are. Everybody's sort of watching on Instagram. If you are watching on Instagram, come over to the YouTube channel. It's always friendly here. But cool. Malcolm, it's been a pleasure. Of course, we're not doing so many Cherry AMs at the moment. Ollie's obviously got a lot on his plate at the moment, but nicely, we know. We'll let him announce that. but also, there's not much talk going on, and there's a lot. Of course, we're getting ready for Christmas, aren't we?
It's that time. Everybody's a bit busy. We've got more important things to think about. Probably. I know Ollie has. So.
Cherry AM though will be back in full flow, no doubt. Back in.
Just keep your eyes open on Facebook. We'll put notifications up. So yeah.
But cool.
Thanks very much for having me on, Craig.
That's all right.
And
always a pleasure, Malcolm. Always a pleasure.
And thanks everybody in the chat for joining us today.
Yep, most definitely. Thank you guys again. Up the cherries, and let's
up the cherries. Yeah.
Let's make the toffees feel a bit sticky on Tuesday night by beating them. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
I should be like you, Mel.